I was wrong. I am not too big of a man to admit when I was wrong. I traditionally hated grid fleeces. Now, I will say most of my grid fleece experience was with the Sitka, the core heavyweight. I didn't find it a very compelling piece at all. Tried one or two other grid fleeces and then just basically wrote the category off. And since the advent of these more kind of advanced dynamic mid-layer insulation pieces that are using open-backed fleeces like Primaloft Evolve and Polartec Alpha, I've been in love with pieces like the Sitka Ambient and the hybrid fleece from Outdoor Vitals. But Brad from Argali sent me a few pieces to review. He sent me the Guide Air fleece, he sent me the Torex pants, and he also sent me the Vesper pants. Now the Vesper pants are a late season piece and I haven't tested those yet, but I ran the grid fleece and the Torex pant for the entirety of bear season. So I got almost 50 field days in both of those pieces. But I can say unequivocally, after running this fleece for the entirety of bear season, it has changed my mind on grid fleeces. So let's get into some of the details. This retails for $135 US. I would call the fit extremely athletic. And this actually addressed one of my previous issues with grid fleeces. And I'm going to do a whole fit and finish section in a moment and show you exactly how this fits on me. But having given a lot of thought to layering systems, I've come to the conclusion that layering systems are most effective when they're like right up against each other. Like if your base layer is fitted and then your dynamic insulation layer is fitted, and then you either have a wind, water, a static insulation piece after that. When they're right next to each other and they're all fitted, they can pass moisture back and forth, they can pass warm air back and forth, and they're acting as one integral system instead of just a bunch of layers like you would throw on 3 hoodies before going out to the snow hill as a child. And I think the previous fleeces that I have worn from the hunting industry, I do think the climbing industry and the mountaineering industry has probably been more design forward on this particular problem. But the hunting industry, because let's face it, there's a lot of like real big, marginally to not so marginally overweight guys in the hunting industry. Fits tend to be very boxy. Arms tend to be a little bit smaller, and the trunk tends to be big and boxy. And when you try and wear that over top of a base layer, you end up with all these folds in the fabric, and it's just not an effective way to layer your clothes. The Guide Air fleece has a very athletic fit to it. So it has tight forearms. It's not going to get caught on your bow. It has a fitted profile through the torso that kind of like hugs your base layer. And again, it took a little while to get used to, but I really like that element of this piece. Now, the fabric is a 100% polyester 4-way stretch material. Now, I talked with Brad at length about this yesterday, and one of the things he mentioned to me that kind of echoed my concerns with previous grid fleeces is that traditional grid fleeces have a very tight weave, meaning that all these fibers in here are woven very tightly together. I think previously manufacturers have done that to limit wind exposure and limit water retention, but they created more problems that they solved. Brad has gone with a looser weave, and what that does is it makes the piece much more dynamic. It allows moisture and air to pass more freely back and forth. And I think too, with these next gen air channels is what he's calling them, that he's got in here, I was actually remarkably surprised at the wind protection. I do a ton of quadding while I'm guiding in black bear season, and I could rip around at 30 or 40 miles an hour on my quad, no problem, and I did not find wind to be an issue when I was wearing this piece. I would like to talk about the moisture management as well, because it kind of did one of those unicorn elements that mid layers can sometimes do for you, where it evaporated internal moisture extremely effectively, but it also seemed to limit the ability for external moisture to kind of penetrate the piece. I'm not sure the exact nature of the DWR coating on here. I believe it is PFAS free. I would be in like light misty rain. Like, listen, if it starts pouring, you're gonna get wet in this thing. But when you're in that off again, on again kind of misty rain, I would watch it bead up, and then from the heat that I was generating inside, it would just evaporate off the face of the fabric. I think the DWR coating on the face fabric works extremely well in this garment. Now, I washed this at the end of every week. I guided for 7 straight weeks, so it's been through the wash 7 times. The DWR still seems to be holding up well, but maybe that's one note of caution moving forward is, stay tuned. I'll see how that holds up over the next 1, 2, 3 years. So before we head over to the gear room where I'm gonna put this thing on and show you the design elements and specifically the hood fitment and the fit and finish, I got one important announcement that I'd love to share. I'm so confident that I've crafted the best performing sock for backcountry hunters that's available on the market today, that I've put together the most insane giveaway I have ever done. And this is not one of those giveaways that you see from everybody else where they went and convinced a bunch of other companies to give stuff. This is me giving directly to you. So for every $5 you spend at forgedinthebackcountry.com, and that even includes the new camo version of the forged base boxers that I just released, you will get one entry to win a custom guided hunt from Mindful Hunter Outfitting. And I am gonna work with the winner to build the hunt of your dreams. We could go after black bear or mule deer in British Columbia. We could go chase mule deer with our bows in Alberta, or we could go to my leases in Mexico and hunt coos deer in the rut with a rifle. I am extremely passionate about delivering phenomenal gear to backcountry hunters. And I truly believe that with the Forged Base Series socks, I have brought something unique and new to the market. I feel very strongly that you're gonna love this product, and I cannot wait to share the hunt of a lifetime with one lucky winner. Good luck. Also, I should note I am wearing a double XL. So I would say they run somewhat small. Like I'm normally between an XL and a double XL, but this double XL definitely fits snug. So if you're on the edge of one of the sizes, I would definitely suggest sizing up in the tops. Oh, the last thing I'm gonna note before we dive into the hood fitment, underneath this, I'm wearing the Marsupial SunTech hoodie. Just to give you an idea of the thickness of the layer that I'm wearing underneath, I would say it's like a medium thickness. I will also have a review on this posted up in the next couple weeks. So really nice, functionally designed hood. This is kind of my favorite style of hood. It doesn't fall over into my eyes. It stays snug to my head, covers my ears, gives me kind of half face protection if I need it. So when it gets really cold, you can kind of block all of the drafts. Just overall general athletic fit. You can see there's not a lot of extra fabric here. It's not a particularly boxy construction. It's like a slim tapered fit, shootered cuffs, tight-ish through the chest and the shoulders. Really nice YKK zippers. I also really like the rubber dipping on the little cord. Kind of bothers me when companies don't take the time to do this, and then the little knots at the end end up coming loose, and then you lose the little threads, and you're trying to grab these little rinky-dink zippers. So it's a nice little design touch. You know I'm a big fan of the kind of newer, more modern, active mid layers like the Ambient, like the hybrid fleece from Outdoor Vitals. So how does this grid fleece stack up in comparison to those? I give those pieces a very slight edge in like a warmth, breathability ranking, but where this completely destroys those two pieces is in durability. I beat the living hell out of this piece for 7 weeks of bear guiding this year. I don't have a pulled thread. I don't have a hole. I literally have no marks on it whatsoever. I can go get you my hybrid fleece or my Ambient. The face fabrics on those are very delicate, and when you beat the hell out of them, you just end up ripping them eventually. If you're lucky enough, you got a bit of cash, I would definitely have one of each in your arsenal, depending on the type of hunt you're gonna go on. If you're on a budget, the question I would ask myself is like, what's more important? durability or a slight edge in performance. And again, I don't think you're really giving up that much in performance. I was very pleased with how this piece performed in comparison to both the hybrid fleece from Outdoor Vitals and the Ambient from Sitka. So there you have it, the Argali Guide Air Fleece.